Hey guys, thank you so much. Sorry, I feel like a political speaker. For Ferelden. Thank you guys so much for coming. We're so incredibly thrilled to have you all here. Thanks for waiting in the line. My name is Jessica Merzin. I am the community manager for Dragon Age, and I am also Hawk, the mage. So thanks again for coming. Without further ado, I'm going to pass this on to Mike Laidlaw, our creative director. Thank you guys again.
Yeah, it's a little humbling, given recent events, to have a room this full and obviously engaged. Guys, thank you so much for coming. There's a rare experience, you know, when you leave the goddamn internet and come to real life and go, right, it's so much better out here. All right, so then, we're going to talk a little bit about things. And first off, a quick round of introductions to Stu's here. Jessica, of course, you know. Myself, the creative director for DA. Mark Dara here is the executive producer for the entire franchise, so he's the big boss man. David Gator, our lead writer on, well, virtually everything back to Baldur's Gate 2. And Shane Hawko. Yeah. he feeds on your love, right?
None of the love.
Yeah, the tears make him even stronger. And Shane Hawko's our assistant art director, also easily the most variable of moods in our slideshow. From heavy metal to enjoying flowers. So I want to open with a disclaimer. We're going to talk about some stuff today, and this stuff is not tied to a specific product. Now, I think you can all do some mental math, maybe a bit of gymnastics, and figure out what we're really saying. But let's be clear. We're not making graven promises here, but we're talking about some ideas and some feedback we got from you guys. We want to make sure everything you understand is work in progress. It's ideas. However, you can get a pretty good sense of where things are headed for the future. Now, feedback is something we're taking really seriously, obviously, for DA3. With DA2, we saw, lots of positives, some negative. Obviously, we're taking a long look at that, making sure that the game we're making is A, the game you guys want to see, and B, definitely the game we want to make. So, Mark took point on this, taking a single thread and saying, I'd like to get some feedback from people as we announce that Dragon Age 2 is concluded, that we're done active development on the DA2 story. In 3 days, this jumped to 2,800 posts, as you can see, 113 pages. So there was a flood of feedback, and there were a fair amount of topics covered. This is kind of the tip of the iceberg, and some things in there contradict other things on there, which is kind of the nature of the beast. But boy, those three came up. Those three came up quite a bit, so we're going to tackle them one by one. And again, I can't go into deep details. Hey, I'd be spoiling stuff if I did. So let's talk about stopping reusing levels. This seemed to be a pretty clear sentiment. Apparently, you guys have seen enough cheese wheels in caves. I get that. It's gonna take thrashings for the level art team to not put cheese everywhere, but you know what? I know what you guys are looking for, and I know what we're looking for. We're looking for variety. We're looking for space. We're looking for scope. We're looking for something cool, hidden, forgotten, and lost. And if we really need to go somewhere more urban, let's make sure it's not Kirkwall. And maybe let's go somewhere new, somewhere a little more French. Because they have cheeses.
But not only wheels.
Yes, in other forms. That's the best part. So, decisions that matter. This one's kind of an interesting subject because the big thing is that I can't talk about, well, what are the decisions without spoiling stuff. But I think in essence, yeah, we will absolutely make sure that's what we're delivering, including your previous games. We're aware of some import problems, we're aware of some weirdness, so we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the game you want to play and the world that you want to bring forward is what's happening. Now, as we see it, really, there's just two sides to this coin. Character agency. I want to feel like I'm having an impact in the world. Some people love the Hawk story. Some people thought, I don't know, it felt like he was just being dragged along. Understandable. Well, we'll make sure that this time your choices as a player are determining the impact your character's having on the world. And of course, player agency is simply saying, I control my damn gameplay experience. Now every game offers that to different levels. It's very rare you find a game that lets you just stop and start your own blues band in a bar. Though if Patrick Weeks ever gets to design his own game, you will. Yeah. But we're going to talk about a piece of player agency right now. See, that's a segue. We're going to talk about equipment for followers. Yeah, it's back. Now, I'm going to pause for just a second in the slides here, and I got to say, if you guys haven't seen, actually, front row people, do you feel like standing up? We have got some amazing cosplay here. And this is, I mean, quite frankly, what a signature look for the characters can provide is a good chance for people to really identify with them from a tactical sense. You can look at them in a battlefield and they have their own silhouette, their own shape, their own color scheme, and you kind of instantly go, all right, I know who I'm dealing with. If we're doing big, busy battles, that's going to be something that's important. But also, it just gives us a good, strong visual identity as a franchise. So we still think that having a signature look or an iconic look is really important, but we don't want to take away your agency as players. So, suppose in your party you had a Grey Warden, let's say, and suppose you had a Seeker, a Seeker, and you had this thing, this suit of armor, perhaps a chess piece, and it had stats and stuff. That's pretty familiar. Well, if we have these two characters in your party, what we want to make sure happens is that when you put the chess piece on, you're seeing a visual change. Not necessarily a fundamental redo of the character, but a visual change, something that's added on. And if we were to move that to our Seeker, it would similarly move across. Not identical as a suit of armor, meaning the character still has their own shape, their own look, but something that obviously you can see the correlation. That's the direction we'd like to head. And I'll show you why. Because we can then extend out to arms, arm guards, shoulders, pauldrons, that kind of thing. We can move that between characters as well. You can end up with full suits that are thematically similar, which is very similar to what you saw in Origins. But again, it's you doing the combinations. Move that to another character, and again, you see that kind of thematic thing. Notice they don't really lose their identity in the process. That's the middle ground we've been looking for since DA2. And of course, then, suit equivalencies across different plate mail wearers like that. Or something that's a little more to their taste like that. And if things are really good, maybe we'll let you mess around with stuff like color or even material. So that should be pretty cool, in theory. And that's all we wanted to show you today. Again, our overall policy for any future project is going to be, if we can't show it to you, we're not going to talk about it. We want to make sure we get there to the point where we can show it. You guys can give feedback. You can tweet it back at us, throw it up on forums. However you want to discuss it, we'll be happy to talk it through.